jingle sung in a foreign language. And we need to go back in time a little bit, because as early as 1961, in Pam Series 18, there was a jingle that was sung in Spanish, but it was sung for English-speaking radio stations. It was just something to be quirky and different and unique and so forth. And that cut was this one.
61 Charlotte, W-A-Y-S, always!
Well, in the original version, they shouted "Olé" at the end, and who knows if that's politically correct anymore. But there was that jingle, but like I said, that was for Waze in Charlotte, North Carolina, which was not a Spanish language station. So in thinking back, okay, what is the earliest I can remember that there was a Pam's jingle package that was sung for a station with all Spanish programming, and the jingles were sung in Spanish as well, and that would have to be these guys.
Los mejores disc jockeys están aquí en Radio Atalaya, nueva generación.
Les mejores disc jockeys. Yes, the best disc jockeys are on Radio Atalaya in Lima, Peru.
Más hits, Radio Atalaya, nueva generación.
Va, go, right. The original was charge at the end. So they are using this jingle package, Series 29, which was made for 77 WABC, and they're using that melody.
Vamos, levantarte mejor, que la hora ya llegó y Radio Atalaya te pone en acción.
And they were using the usual Dallas singers. The Dallas guys were doing the vocals. They didn't fly in any special singers like Radio Luxembourg did when they wanted to use Pam's jingles. They brought singers so that they could do them in French at Pam's, but the singers that they brought were not nearly as good as the Dallas group, so I would have thought it would be better for them to have taught the Dallas singers how to sing it in French. But that's another issue altogether. We're still in Peru.
El verano es mucho mejor con Atalaya. Atalaya, Atalaya, super música.
Curiously, on the Series 29 jingles, they were saying Atalaya, and on the Series 37 jingles, they changed it to Atalaya. And I don't know which one is correct, but presumably somebody from the station was overseeing this.
Todos los días son muy buenos en Radio Atalaya. 1300 Radio Atalaya en Lima. Super música en Lima.
Super Musica in Lima, yeah. So Pam's did Series 29 and 37 and some other packages as well for that station in Peru. So that's a 60s example. I was just talking to you about Radio Luxembourg, so I quickly found a couple of examples of that. for their French service. Radio Luxembourg was also in English at different times of day. But when they were doing their French transmissions, they had a DJ, a famous European DJ named Roscoe, part of the time. And they wanted the Pam's jingles, just like the pirate ships off the shore of England were using. And they brought their singers to Dallas. Now that one, in French, of course, that one, not too bad. It's not as in tune on the last chord as the Dallas guys would have been.
Quelle chance vous avez, vous êtes au Luxembourg. Vous dansez, vous rêvez, chantez, heureux toute la journée.
I prefer the version we used to start the show myself, but there you go, another Radio Luxembourg. Of course, I've picked out the least awful ones. Some of them are difficult to listen to, but the focus of today was supposed to be Spanish. So let's see, what can we do about that? Well, we can go to Mexico. Stereo Ray in Mexico City with the Pam's Stereo Island package. Well, let's see. Let us zoom up in time now to the 70s. Of course, KHJ in Los Angeles was using the U campaign from TM Productions, and KHJ, obviously an English language radio station, but for some reason had one of their U campaign jingles done in Espanol. Oh my God, I would like to take whoever wrote that translation and just pick them up and shake them and put them back down, because that's entirely too many syllables to try to fit into such a small little space, because they were doing literal translations instead of writing nice, similar lyrics that fit the track. But I don't know. It's just weird to hear a KHJ jingle in Spanish on the U campaign. Well, of course, Jam has also been asked to do jingles in Spanish, a lot of them, and we could do a whole show about that. Don't worry, we won't. But these were kind of nice, going back to Mexico now. Stereo 100, Stereo 100.
Con los éxitos de los 70s, 80s y 90s, Stereo 100. Stereo 100, todo el tiempo contigo.
Stereo 100 is Stereo 100. So let's take 100 pounds of jingles, see what we can do, what we can make out of that. Oh, I know what we can make out of that. A show on Rewound Radio. And also this song.
He took 100 pounds of clay. Yes, he did. With just
Oh, yes. With just 100 pounds of jingles, he created our core listener group. salute you in Belgium and Canada, Czech Republic, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Poland, Russian Federation, Sweden, Ukraine, and the UK. Not to mention the fact that
Rewound coast to coast.
it's true. So hello to you in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and Bremerton, Washington, and Oceanside, California. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma is with us today. Brandon, Florida, and Conway, Arkansas. The Bronx, New York is here, and Wilmington, Delaware, Mattoon, Illinois, Sacramento, California. Thanks so much for joining us there in Worcester, Massachusetts, and Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Love you in Brooklyn, New York, and Norwalk, Connecticut, and Abbeville, South Carolina. Austin, Texas, Rewound Radio. And what else can you be? You can be my shining star. You can be my baby. You can be my core listener at Rewound.
The night we met, I knew
Rewound Radio. I think we need to get away to an island.
serving all our islands. The KQ and Q. Music Island, KXYZ. 1320 KXYZ. 1240 WGPP, first on the island.
I have heard of an island where young lovers often go.
Cruising off to that island of love because also has the power of the best music. And while we're on that island, check out those island girls.
I see your teeth flash, Jamaican honey so sweet.
Hey, island girl, I think we should exchange business cards, or at least contact information. I'm
Jon Wolfert.
And who are you again? You're not going to tell me? Well, I don't know. I don't know how we wound up stranded on this island. It was only a 3-hour tour, but after our experience there, I can say
I will always think about you, even if I live without you. Baby, it's true.
you know it's true. The new Colony 6 on Rewound Radio, because
All the cool music.
where is
It's
it?
here.
Yeah.
Rewound Radio.
When do we hear it?
Now.
Radio. Yes, radio used to come out of the sky. Now it comes out of whatever you plug into. And it's Rewound Radio, the best music.
I'm not content to be with you in the daytime. All day, all night.
24/7, you got your Rewound Radio.
Here's where the greatest sounds begin.
Daytime or nighttime, just tune in to bright, exciting WBZ.
So there you got your all day and all of the night right there. You are knocking on my head. Stop that. That hurts. Well, anyway, knock on wood, we will be together for the next jingle exploration, which will be coming up in a few minutes here on Rewound. I hear you. I hear you. You can stop knocking now. I hear you. I know you're out there, and I know you're knocking on wood, hoping there'll be some more jingles in your future. Well, guess what?
Jon Wolfert.
And besides that,
It's jingle time on Rewound Radio. Wow, wow, wow.
as you recall, if you were with us from the very beginning, and if you weren't, where is your signed excuse? Signed by your parent or guardian. There is no excuse for being late. But we were talking about WADO, W-A-D-O, 1280 on the New York radio dial. And what brought that to mind in the first place, you may well ask? Go ahead, ask. What brought to mind in the first place? Well, I'll tell you. It's because I looked at the calendar, and it's January 28th, which to me is 1/28. Take away the slash, it's 128. Add a 0, it's 1280. There, see? Another rationalization. We are so good at those. And so I started thinking about stations on 1280 and got sidetracked by thinking about WADO. You see, and then from there, I got sidetracked into thinking about jingles sung in Spanish and foreign languages. But now I have been pulled back into the 1280 sphere, and I want to play you a few things that come from a station that was on 1280 in Denver, Colorado. K-Talk, K-T-L-K, K-Talk. You would think to yourself, oh, great call letters, I bet they're a talk station. You would be wrong. It was a music station, trying their best for a while there in the 70s to be a top 40 music station. Now, what are these odd jingles that are patterned after Good Morning Starshine and Hawaii 5-0 and all of that? These are jingles that were made by a company called ARI, which stands for Atwood Richards Incorporated. They were headquartered out of New York, and they sort of dabbled in jingles just a little bit for just a little while. And I don't know a whole lot about the history of Atwood Richards or what they really did to make a living, because it couldn't have been jingles because there weren't that many Atwood Richards packages out there. But this one was used, in fact, on KTLK K-Talk in Denver. Now, when those jingles were edited down to make them a little shorter, and they were put in the hands of a really good top 40 DJ, they actually sounded pretty good. Well, speaking of great top 40 DJs, let me show you a little interesting piece of history here that involves Big Jack Armstrong. Jack Armstrong, your leader, who I discovered DXing around in the 60s. He was on WKYC in Cleveland, and prior to that, he had been on Wixie in Cleveland, and he started out at Waze in Charlotte, just went on to work at a large number of very important big deal stations from one coast to the other. But Jack Armstrong also became a friend of mine. He was very kind to me. He would talk to me about radio. Me and my friend Peter would go visit him, and he'd let us stay at his place and follow him to the radio station when he was working in Buffalo. And he was a good guy and a very smart guy and a great top 40 teen nighttime DJ. And you don't hear anything like this today on the radio, but back then, just the energy and the excitement was exactly what you wanted. So I'm going to let you hear a little bit of Big Jack doing his thing on K-Talk. And I want you to pay attention to how tight it all is and all of the energy that's involved, because we'll talk about that afterwards. This is from September 4th, 1970.
But you know I love you. That was Kenny Rogers in the first edition of the Jackson Armstrong Show. Here's the 24th of at least 25 records back-to-back. This is the Guess Who? Oh, Keep Talk exclusive. 8:57 at the big 1280. Don't you give me no hand-me-down world.
Anybody here see the
Isley Brothers. Spit of gold. Every other one that way. 25th and 25 in a row, it's your thing.
It's your thing.
What I want to do with my thing, honey. Lovely. On K-Talk. Jackson Offshore got a brand new top 50 survey that you're counting down this afternoon with the Jerry the Mississippi Peterson between 3 and 7 p.m. Also found it in the weekend count of the Denver Post this afternoon. Did you look it up and see it, huh?
Big Jack Armstrong on KTLK, keeping it tight and high energy and exciting and all of that stuff. Cutting the jingles up, putting a chime at the end. Gee, I wonder where he got that idea. And of course, using his jock jingle that he slipped into his pocket and brought with him from when he was at WKYC in Cleveland.
Big Jack, your leader.
Yeah, that came from KY from their Series 33, but he was using it in Denver. And what happened there, and this happened to Jack more than once, is the station hired him because they liked what he did, all of the wild craziness and the energy and all of that stuff. And he got there, and as you heard, he was doing that for a while. But then they decided, well, we need to tone this down, and you shouldn't be playing those records. They're too this, they're too that. They were basically trying to restrict what he could do, or as he described it to me, they turned me loose, then they tightened the noose. That was his description of K-Talk. He said it was ridiculous. And so they got crossways there, and he didn't want to do what they wanted him to do, and it just came to the point where he was like, okay, if you don't want me to do my act, if you don't want me to do my thing, then you know what? I'm not going to do it at all. And so he went on the air. He didn't say any bad words. He didn't do anything wrong. But he was loose and had no energy at all because he was figuring, well, if they fire me, they have to pay out the rest of my contract. And I'm not going to quit, but I'm sure not going to do the stupid kind of radio they want me to do. So just a few weeks after what you just heard, as a matter of fact, 24 days exactly after what you just heard in 1970, had you turned on K-Talk, you would have heard this.
I know I'm losing you. That's the sound of Rare Earth on the Jack Armstrong Show at 9:41 on K-Talk. On this, the 9th month, 28th day, 70th year. And
K-Talk 1280s.
you just turned 6 in a row on the Big 1280. Got a word for you about the weather. 61 degrees on the outside. The low tonight, 44 degrees. High tomorrow, 76. It'll be clear and warmer through Wednesday. And the football score. Match Buff 14, Luther nothing.
So you get the idea there. Everything was no energy, loose. The songs all started uncued. It was just so unlike Jack. And, he told me, and they called him up, and they went, "What's the matter, Jack? Not feeling well?" And he said, yeah, this nervous condition of mine acts up every time I get screwed like this, and my timing just goes to hell. So, yeah, that's my K-Talk story. But of course, as time went on, they got themselves some different jingles. They got some Pam's jingles.
K-1280 Denver TLK. K-Talk TLK.
They got some jam jingles.
1280 KTLK. 1280 KTLK. KTLK. Denver's favorite music.
Well, from K-Talk, we go to the Talk song on Rewound Radio.
I got me a complication, and it's an only child. Talk.
What's it called?
Talk.
It's called Rewound. And we got the best music 24/7. You know that's right?
Oh, yeah.
You can bet on that.
Now if there's a smile on my face to make you think
I know that you care. Now, let's take some of those tears and mix them with some blood and sweat and see what we get. It's Lucretia. Lucretia, what do you love to listen to?
Rewound.
Lucretia McEvil.
Oh, most music on
77 WABC.
WABC, New York.
Ingram Electric Radio Theater is on the air.
I just got some terrible news. I read the ratings, and WABC is only the 13th ranked station in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hello, Pittsburgh. With the coffee on. You know it, baby.
Change your evil ways, baby.
You know you better change your evil ways. That's why you have a washing machine, right? Well, you see, this all started because we played Lucretia McEvil, which made me think of Evil Ways, which made me think of that Dan Ingram ear check. Oh, evil woman, you see what you're doing to my mind?
See the look of evil in your eyes.
Okay, evil woman, here's something you could do instead.
Keep listening to Rewound Radio.
Forget those evil games, and you will be less evil. See how that works? Then you will enable me to love you inside and out. Backwards and forwards with my tongue hanging out. What was that?
The best music, Rewound Radio.
Well, speaking of inside and out, here's a song called Living Inside Myself. Well, where else would you... I mean, it would be weird if some of your organs were like sitting up on a shelf somewhere and your heart was in a little box.
That sounds scary.
I know, I'm going to stop this line of thought immediately.
My life, I felt so self-assured.
Oh, there's Gino. He is living inside himself. I know, but he also said that he's stuck out in the rain, and that's not a terrible place to be, especially in the springtime, which it's not, but we can imagine, can't we? And with a nice beat like this, join Donald Fagen as we walk between the raindrops on Rewound.
A shadow across the blue Miami sky. Back to your door.
Rewound Radio, gotta love that. And one more time today, here it is.
It's jingle time on Rewound Radio.
Couldn't let you go without a few more, and since we are unofficially celebrating 1280 Day, January 28th, 128. Yes, it's 1280, so there needs to be a few more 1280 stations represented, don't you think?
1280 plays the best music. WANS.
WANS in Anderson, South Carolina.
1280 WANS.
And I will confess that internally we always refer to that as anus radio, but that's just because we're horrible people.
The best music. 1280 WANS.
I'm sure they're fine folks there in Anderson. And let's see. Oh, here's another one. 1280, huh?
13 Super Radio KVOX.
Well, look it up. KVOX in Moorhead is actually on 1280. But back in the days when you could round things off so that it would correspond to a number printed on the dial, they got away with calling it 13.
KVOX Moorhead.
Moorhead, which sort of in print looks a little like Moorhead, which would call for a rather blue joke being made in the studio amongst the singers. And what happens if we start trying to record the cut and somebody's just now getting the terrible joke? This happens.
KVOX.
makes more head.
Yeah, see, you got to get the jokes out of the way prior to the recording starting. But anyway, I won't tell the joke because you can write your own joke. All right, 1280. Let's see, we can go up to Massachusetts and listen to a 1280.
The rock rolls on. 1280 EIM.
WEIM with a very strange little Pam's grid from Studio C.
1280 EIM.
Back in the era when program directors thought that what listeners really wanted more than anything was a 25-minute drum solo before the call letters. Listen to that again. Okay, that's just a stupid jingle. Not because I didn't have anything to do with it, just because it is. However, WEIM made up for that by later on coming to jam and getting some nice cuts from the #1 voice package.
WEIM AM 1280. The #1 early riser in Leominster.
Leominster, that's the name of a place.
WEIM AM 1280. The #1 NASCAR voice in the Great Bay State. WEIM AM 1280. The #1 news voice in your hometown.
Your hometown, because they served so many little communities in Massachusetts there. They didn't want to just single out one.
The #1 morning voice for prizes and fun. WEIM's Jack Raymond. WEIM AM 1280. The #1 music voice in Fitchburg, Leominster.
Well, you know, they did want to get the towns in there, and it was Fitchburg, Leominster, which is a little bit of a squeeze, but that's what they wanted to say. So hats off to WEIM in Massachusetts, 1280. One last station that's on 1280, and I know that last week we spent most of the jingle time talking about jingles that were inspired either musically or lyrically or both by songs that happened to be around. Well, there is an old song about New Orleans, and here's just a little bit of it. You can listen to Billie Holiday sing it to you.
And miss it each night and day. I know I'm not wrong. The feeling's getting stronger the longer I stay away.
Do you know what it means to miss New Orleans? Which begat this.
Do you know what it means to love New Orleans?
WGSO on 1280, making use of a jingle that was originally created for BBC Radio 1 and other packages as well.
Music for New Orleans. WGSO.
Well, here's some music for New Orleans for you. Way down yonder down there. Well, if you're going way down yonder to New Orleans, take me along, please.
Jon Wolfert, Rewound Radio.
And if you love rainy nights, I think that's what we're in for here. It's been nice today, but all that is soon going away.
Well, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. Yeah, I love a rainy
Rainy nights are fun if you stay inside with Rewound Radio. That's right. Now, some of you may be thinking about leaving a few minutes early. You're thinking, the good part of the show is over. No. I see you leaving. Thanks for rocking with me today here on Rewound Radio. And thanks as always for all of your comments on Facebook and through rewoundradio.com. Your real-time encouragement is what powers this show, and that's why we'll be back for another one next week right here at Rewound. Okay, Jingles, what did you write for me to wrap up the show with this time? I did the show with bravado because I started with Wado.
Rewound Radio.
Jingles was listening. That's good. Well,